Just anybody that's listening to this that thinks you have to be an expert in business to start your own business. No, that's how you become an expert in business, is by running your own business. It's the only way.
I love that you're saying this, because so many people will not begin a business because they will think, well, I don't know anything about, therefore I can't start. And what you're saying is, it is in the process that you become great at it.
It's the best possible way.
Welcome, badass entrepreneurs. It's time to hear the world's movers, shakers, and difference makers spill their secrets for unlimited success. So strap in, for Badass Entrepreneurs Only begins now. I'm Coach Dan Gordon, and today I'll be speaking with an all-around brilliant businessman, Wayne Altman. Wayne has suffered from tinnitus for many, many years. That's ringing in the ears. And rather than just run around and trying to find a cure for it, Wayne launched a business called Melody Clouds. And today we're going to be speaking with Wayne about what it's like to turn a problem into an income stream that helps many, many other people. So let's get badass. Wayne Altman, welcome, welcome, welcome to For Badass Entrepreneurs Only.
Hey, I'm really happy to be here, Dan. You're a very good friend. I consider you a very good friend, and this is exciting for me. So thank you.
Well, you know, and I can tell my listeners, I'm going to have to do very little work. Wayne is like the ultimate wind-up toy. I just got to wind him up a little bit and boom, he's going to go. So here's the little wind-up. You were in the military. It's the military that caused the tinnitus, right?
Yep, bombs and bullets do it every time.
Bombs and bullets, right? And so how long were you suffering from ringing in the ears?
So for the last 30 years, the only time that I have ever heard silence, and anyone that questions whether or not you can actually hear silence, I'm telling you right now that yes, you can hear silence. The only time was about 6 months ago. It was the first time I'd heard silence in 30 years. I got out of the military, spent 8 years in the military, the Army. I loved every minute of it. I love this country. I love serving the people of this country. So that experience is exactly what caused tinnitus or tinnitus, depending on who you are, but how you say it. But for me, it is for some people it's ringing, for other people's it may be a whoosh. Every single person, what I found out was every single person hears something different. And that's what makes this such a devilish, demonic sound, because it isn't the same for every single person.
I can tell you, I have it, and for me, it is a constant ringing.
Yeah.
So what drove you to begin seeking solutions for it that were outside of the typical Western medicine route?
Well, the minute that someone introduced me to binaural beats, and we can go into that, what exactly a binaural beat is. With a minute that someone, and I'm talking within seconds of realizing that I can use a binaural beat, one frequency in one ear, one frequency in the other ear, and that will actually give me silence. I knew right then, okay, this I've got to bring to other people, because I know a lot of people that suffer that don't have to go in the military in order to suffer through this. If you were blasting music, it's an injury to the ear. So if you were blasting music for your teenage years, chances are you've given yourself this amazing gift of tinnitus. Okay.
I'm pretty sure I got it at a Ramones concert. But the thing that really interests me, Wayne, is that you discovered this and immediately you thought, oh, I need to bring this to more people.
Yeah.
Whereas most people would say, oh, great, I have a solution for me. Why do you think that is?
Okay, so I have 3 girls, and I try from
daughters. You mean
daughters? Yep.
Okay.
and I love them dearly. But one of the first things that I ever tried to teach them was, don't ever look in your sister's bowl unless you're trying to put more in it. Don't ever come to me and say, Daddy, you gave Reagan something and you didn't give it to me. I don't hear that. I want them to be giving people. And so in order to do that, I have to provide that example. So when I found this, I immediately thought, okay, there is a way for me to introduce this to so many people that I know need this. Then slowly, I didn't have a business then. That was something I was just going out and introducing it to people. But then I realized, okay, there's a lot of companies that provide relaxation and meditation and apps and that kind of thing. And to me, the most offensive thing you can do is overprice something. You know, I'm all for capitalism. Capitalism is the greatest thing ever invented, but don't overprice. And that to me was a horrible thing. And so I decided, okay, you know what? I can do two things at one time. I can stick a thumb in the eye of anyone that wants to take advantage of people by offering a better product at a lower price, what it's actually worth. And I can cure, or not cure, but at least I can treat a ton of people that suffer from this debilitating illness or injury.
And so,
one more thing.
Yeah, please.
So many people in the 5 months we've been out, I have had so many, and I'm talking literally hundreds of people that have come to me and said, I didn't know what I was going to do. This actually works for me. I didn't know what I was going to do. Thank you for providing this. I found the frequencies that work for me, and now I can hear silence too, or I can get to sleep, or I can.
Yeah.
So the feedback that quick, man, it was very energizing.
And I really appreciate that. And the thing that I want to really go into, Wayne, is I love what you're doing. And it is the process of doing it that I'm really interested in, because, you know, back to it, you found this thing, you didn't just use a tool that was available. You said, I want to build something. And that's the badass entrepreneur that I want to talk to. What is it about you, do you think, that says, because look, when you go into the military, I would say that generally speaking, people drawn to the military it's not an entrepreneurial mindset. It's group oriented, it's creating something together, but an entrepreneur is more singularly focused. So I'm very curious about these things that don't kind of match with you.
Yeah.
You know, and
I have an answer.
Okay, great. Yeah, let's hear it.
Here it is. Okay, and look, let me explain something to you. Being in the military for 8.5 years, of course, your life kind of shapes who you are. Okay,
right.
All of us. It shapes everything about us. Now, the things I took out of the military were the discipline. Okay, the discipline. I don't have weekends. In other words, if you call me and say, "Hey, let's do this podcast at 5 o'clock on Sunday morning," I'm going to go, hey, if that's the time, that's the time. Let's or I'm going to look at my watch and I'm going to go, hey, at 5 minutes till, you know, I'm very disciplined when it comes to that.
Yes.
Now, back to the original question. What makes me different? Okay. Everybody that's listening to this, I know, has been guilty of this. You work for someone else, and that someone else is a moron, and they don't know what it is they're doing. The way they're asking you to do this, you grit your teeth because you know that you know a better way of doing it. That may be true, but you're not the one that has everything riding on the process. You're not the one that pushed their chips to the center of the table and said, I'm all in.
Right.
So what broke it for me was, hey, dude, it's time to put up or shut up. You don't like the idea of working for someone else, being responsible for someone else's success and never getting to taste that. So how about you put your money where your mouth is, and let's see if you can learn enough and you're smart enough to actually run your own show. Back in the days when the United States was founded, we were 90% of the people work for themselves, 10% work for someone else. 1985, that number was exactly flipped. 90% work for other people, 10% work for themselves. And now we're slowly creeping back the other way. People have realized through this pandemic, especially, they've realized, oh man, I can't depend on anyone. Is that what you're telling me? What am I going to do?
And this is what I really appreciate about what you're saying, because I want to inspire more people into entrepreneurship. And I know some people listening to this are entrepreneurs. Other people are interested, are asking themselves, how do I get out of the cubicle? What do I do? And to those people, I want them to know that the experience of being an entrepreneur is not just hard work. Anybody can work hard. Part of it is heartbreak. You're going to put everything into something that you believe in, and it's not going to work. That's just how it happens. And yet, when it doesn't work, you can't go back to the cubicle. You dust yourself off, you get back up, and you go back to what you're passionate about. Your passion, Wayne, is to be in service and help. So how did you go from recognizing that there's healing for this for tinnitus and launching this business, which you had no experience doing? Like, you weren't in the audio space, right?
I'm not a doctor.
You're not
the
an
closest thing to a musical instrument I've ever gotten is listening to them being played.
Okay. And you aren't an expert in creating apps and online systems.
Now.
So, right. Well, you are now, but you weren't then.
Yeah.
So where did you start? Where you're like, yeah, I want to bring this forward. Most people will go, well, I don't know enough. I can't do it. Where did you start?
I did this the same way I write a book. I've written 6 books.
Mm-hmm.
And I did for the same reason and the same way I write a book. I write a book because I don't know anything about the subject, not because I'm an expert in the subject matter. I start a book that I don't even know the subject matter. And that's how I learn the subject matter to an expert quality. Okay.
Right.
So just anybody that's listening to this that thinks you have to be an expert in business to start your own business. No, that's how you become an expert in business, is by running your own business. It's the only way.
And I love that you're saying this. I love that you're saying this, because so many people will not begin a business or start down an entrepreneurial path because they will think, well, I don't know anything about bicycles, or I don't know anything about plumbing, right? Or, rigging for sailboats. I like it, but I don't know anything about it. Therefore, I can't start. And what you're saying is, it is in the process that you become great at it.
It's the best possible way.
I was not an expert at sales until I began being an expert at sales. Like, I decided this was what I wanted to be great at. And I had to absorb so much information because I refused to be out of integrity, right? If I'm going to say I'm great at sales, I have to be great at it. And it was in becoming this. And like you said, I started writing my book, Selling is Bullshit, before I really knew everything I needed. And I rewrote that book 4 or 5 times. So did you kind of rewrite the book of Melody Clouds a number of times as you were developing it?
Just the end of the story isn't. We don't know what the end of the story is, Dan.
Okay, so you're not there.
What we know, first chapter was buy a domain and start putting together files. Okay, You're now in chapter 3, where 5 months later we have 300,000 files, all owned by me. I learned about licensing very early, but probably not the way you want to do this. Is license a bunch of music that you're going to owe money to constantly and in perpetuity for. Yeah. But why not, Wayne? Why not bootstrap this and buy your own files along the way? This part of the conversation reminds me, I have to share this story with you because you're a sales guy. I'm a sales guy. So one of my favorite sales stories, and I get to share it with you. I love it. Okay, so I was in college in Germany. I was stationed in the military in Mannheim, Germany, and I went to Heidelberg to go to college. And I spent the first 2 years of school in college in Germany, okay? And my professor was an international business class. And my professor had this massive German Shepherd, okay? Big dog, and it would always lay right in front of his desk every day. And one day he walks in, the dog that takes his spot, and the professor is holding in his hand a brown paper bag. I sit on the front row. Everyone in the military knows you sit on the front row. When you're in Army, Air Force, Marines, front row. You sit in the furthermost seats, okay? All right. So I'm sitting in the front row, and the professor says in German, how many people think I could sell what's in this bag for 50 marks? And I raised my hand. I thought everyone in the room raised their hand. I didn't see behind me, Dan. I couldn't see anybody behind me. And the professor says, Herr Altman, you think that I can sell this for 50 marks?
Which is approximately how much money?
At the top, $25. $25, the contents of the bag. I said, Yes. He said, what about 100 marks? Could I sell it for 100 marks? And I said, yes. And he goes, you think that I could sell the contents of this bag? Let's be clear. You don't know what's in this bag.
Right.
I said, doesn't matter. I said, Dad, I don't know whether you can sell it for 100 marks, but I do know that I can sell it for 100 marks. And the professor's eyes get this big.
Right.
And he said, would you like to know what's in the bag? And I said, I'm looking at the dog. I have a good idea what's in it. And he said, exactly. And I said, listen, all you have to do is know your audience. The first thing I would do is find someone that has prized roses. There's a lot of nitrogen in what's in that bag. And all I've got to do is find the correct audience. And yes, I can sell that for 100 marks.
There you go.
That man loved me for the rest of the semester. He was like, that is you, Mr. Altman, you're going to go someplace. That is my favorite. I was so proud of myself for realizing what he was trying to teach us. Listen, you find the right audience and anything that you're selling becomes you don't need to sell it. It becomes very easy. Selling is for people who don't know they need the product that you're offering.
And that's great because so many people think that selling is about convincing someone to buy something they don't want or need. That's being a con artist. Selling, like real salespeople are completely involved in providing value. We love, I just love the feeling. Yeah, I love the feeling of someone buying something and go, wow, I'm so happy that I have this.
Dan, do you know what the largest button on our app, Melody Cloud's app, you know what the largest button on our app is?
What?
The unsubscribe button. The largest button on that app is the unsubscribe button for that reason, that very reason that you're talking about. I don't want to take anyone's money who isn't willingly offering what I'm or asking for what I am buying or selling to them.
Right. And the thing that I want to point out to everyone who is listening is we are talking about customer experience. Both Wayne and I and the professional salespeople are obsessed with customer experience. We want to give customers a good experience because then they become repeat customers.
And better yet, they become evangelists.
Right.
They go out and look, I've got that right. 5 months into Melody Clouds, I've already got a group of people that are so high on what it is I'm offering that they themselves have gone out now and done the reverse of complaining. They bragged about this thing that they own and they're a member of. I built this little tiny community, so far little tiny community, and those people are bringing me other people. Hey, I want you to meet so-and-so. This would be a perfect fit in your organization. Why don't you kind of draw him in?
Right.
That doesn't happen when people feel cheated.
Or talked into something.
Right, or sold. You're right.
And this is the thing that is just so important for entrepreneurs. You have to step away from your idea. And it's interesting because we're not talking about Melody Clouds right now. Like we're talking about the thing that supports Melody Clouds. You have to get away from being so obsessed with your product or service and think about the customers. Think about how you're going to inspire them to not only want to buy, but as Wayne says, be an evangelist. So how did you create Melody Clouds to be that for people? What did you do around the customer experience?
Oh, well, that's very easy. I mean, look, outside of that, I form relationships like the one you and I enjoy.
Yes.
I mean, you pick up the phone and call me, and I'm going to answer to the best of my ability any question that you may pose to me. I mean, people I spend hours on the phone with or on Zoom with and explaining to them, all right, look, these are the things that you want to watch out for. Here are some pitfalls that and I give up my time as freely as I'm able.
I know that you, but for people who don't interact with you, that just come to Melody Clouds, how did you create it in a way so you're giving them the Wayne Altman experience in this app?
Well, number one, I do a lot of analytics. So I watch and see what people are actually looking for. I know that you're my customer before you ever even arrive on melodyclouds.com. Okay. And so what I'm trying to do then is present this information in a way that you recognize, hey, this knucklehead has exactly what it is I've been looking for. And it's priced at a price where he actually gets it. He understands that I may not have $20 a month to spend on something like this.
Yeah.
So that's a way. Number two, by forming these little partnerships, by edification from other sources, okay, that introduction is incredibly important, especially when you're just starting out. I mean, think about the relationships you've had with the opposite sex, right?
Yes.
The one you can meet someone on some dating app or whatever, but if a friend of yours says, hey, Karen, Dan is a great guy and he has my seal of approval, you're never going to hear a bad word out of my mouth about him. She's going to say, hey, well, you know what? Dan really is a great guy. She's already going into the fact that, that this may be something that, can actually last. He's friends with my friends, in other words.
Yeah. And so let's talk about this. Somebody who's listening is thinking about creating a product, and now they're thinking, okay, so how do I do this thing? How do I get people to be evangelists for what I'm doing? How do I get people to say, man, you should really try this guy's app, this guy's service, this guy's product? How do entrepreneurs do that?
So this is a little bit different than scaling, right? So what you're going to want to do is the first thing that I do is I have the idea. This is what I want to do. This is what my vision is. And what I don't do is make the mistake of thinking, okay, this is my customer, because I don't know who my customer for this is yet.
Okay, that's really interesting, because most people would say you have to know who your customer is. Why are you not doing that?
You do have to know who your customer is, but they identify themselves to you.
You can't guess.
You can't say, Dan, you're my customer. No, you don't know. And what you want to do is find out who your customers are. Let me give you an example of this. You and I decide we're going to sell pretzels. Okay. And Dan says, hey, Wayne, we need to go to the mall. There's a lot of foot traffic at the mall. We'll probably see a whole bunch of people at the mall to buy our pretzels. And I say, nah, we need to be outside of town somewhere. The land is cheap. We can probably build a much nicer facility out there, right? Well, who's right? You're right. You're right, because you put yourself and us right in the middle of everyone that's going to be passing by, and it was free. So you win. We get our little pretzel place working, right? And I say, okay, I'm going to spend $10,000 in marketing, and you go, slow down, champ. You don't need to do that. We're going to get plenty of foot traffic. Right? We don't even know who to advertise that to. We're going to waste that $10,000. So I say, okay, Dan, what should we do? And you say, here's what you're going to do. Get your butt in the kitchen and start cooking these pretzels. The smell alone is going to draw people over to us. Meanwhile, I'm going to chop them up into little bites. I'm going to stand in front of our shop, and I'm going to hand out a free sample to anyone that walks by.
Yeah.
That third of the people are going to mosey into the shop and buy the pretzels. They just identified who our customer is. Now you can advertise to a like audience. Now we've got a business. All I'm saying to you is, you don't know. Don't think for a minute that you can identify who your customer is, because you're going to be wrong. You're going to leave someone out. And frankly, I don't want to leave anyone out. I'm all inclusive. My wife hates that about me, by the way. we start a party and she wants to invite a few friends over, and I'm just inclusive. And next thing you know, we've rented out the whole bottom floor of the Holiday Inn. And I mean, we've got trucks coming. My wife is like, hey, look, dude, enough of the inclusive. Okay.
Right.
You got to cut it off.
Yeah, you can't help yourself with that. But that,
and one more thing. I want to add one more thing. You know what? I like the fact that and you're right. You are right. I do find a great deal of joy in the buildup of other people. That is true. But I think for me, what it is if you, and then I'm just, for anyone out there that ever meets me, if your idea of building yourself up is tearing other people down, you need to stay as far away from me as you possibly can, because I will pants you. I will make you regret it.
So in creating Melody Clouds, look, you're a human being. were there times, or when were there times where you were feeling overwhelmed, uncertain?
All the time.
Okay.
All the time.
Okay. Because you don't
If
come
you're
across
not,
that way,
you're not
right?
progressing. If
Right.
you are not thinking, oh crap, is this possibly, maybe this isn't going to work, then you're not doing the work. You're not doing the job. Yeah. If you think this is all, hey, let's do the math, and the math always works out. But I love when someone says to me, hey, let's do the math. I just did the math. Well, guess what? You're making the math work out for you every time. Hell yes, you love the math.
Yeah.
But how about we throw in my numbers now? Let's throw in a couple numbers that don't look so good.
Mm-hmm.
So, and look, the internet is a very big place. This planet is 8 billion people is a much bigger number than people want to, think about. They want to realize. Mm-hmm. Now, it works in a good way and in a bad way, right? So out of 8 billion people, what makes you so special that you're going to actually be the one to succeed? That's one way of thinking at it, right? You could think about it that way, or like I do and think, okay, wait, what does success look like for me? 100,000 subscribers at $5.99. Well, that's almost $600,000 a month. Those are pretty good numbers. I get very excited about those numbers. And 100,000 people isn't even at 1% of the population of Los Angeles, where I happen to live right outside Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. So you can make those numbers work for you, but you also have to think, all right, look, man, you're really putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
I don't hear the word. I don't, for some reason.
You don't hear the word what? You just cut out. That's funny.
Yeah. You hear that? A lot of people hear no when I do that.
Yeah.
I don't hear that.
Yeah.
I hear maybe not now. I hear, but I don't hear no. I don't hear that word. It's another part of the hearing thing that I've got going on. Ron. So you tell me no, I go, okay, maybe no for Dan, but definitely not no for me. Right. This will definitely, this is what I want to do. So I'm going to find a way to make that happen.
And in all this, you still struggle, like we all do, with uncertainty.
Of course.
Right? And so how does Wayne Altman manage his uncertainty?
Knowing going in that this is not going to be a cakewalk, and the people closest to you may not be very supportive, especially when they start seeing success. When they start seeing success, you had better button the hatches. You better bring it on, because look, we're human. And as human beings, some of us get very envious and they get very negative when they start seeing movement or growth, or they want to prune. They want to bring you back. Crabs in a bucket, I call it. Crabs in a bucket. If you find yourself in a bucket, you can get out. But if there are crabs in that bucket, they always want to pull you back down.
Yeah.
Stay away
from the crabs. What do you do? What do you do to manage your own challenging thinking?
So I start to focus on the things that I was successful at, that you know what I mean? And I start I use it as a tool, Dan. I use it as a tool to motivate me. So let's say, and this happens all the time.
Yeah.
I start thinking, okay, Apple. Right now, Apple, shout out to Apple. Apple they have a team of 4 people working on some problems in my app. Okay. Not problems with my app, but problems marrying my app to Apple and what they expect. Okay. Sure. Now, I could look at that very negatively, because I'm watching my bank account. I'm not making the money that I need to be making on this app, and there are problems. And you see what I'm saying? I can focus on that.
Right.
What I'm doing is I trust the fact that they're working on the issue. We're going to work through this, and I start focusing on other things. And 9 times out of 10, that focus tends to be on someone else. So this isn't working for me right now. Let me go and help someone else. And maybe that is going to provide for me the answer that I need on mine. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just being a nice guy and helping somebody out. But at least it's getting me away from all that negativity and negative thinking.
Yeah. What are the first 3 things that a new entrepreneur should do, or an entrepreneur who just doesn't feel like they're hitting it hard? What are the 3 things they should be doing?
Well, number one, the first thing that you should be doing, if you've got to have a product, you need to come up with something that you're going to get behind and really be able to put both shoulders and the nose to the grindstone, and you're going to be energized to actually go and do, because this is a this is a marriage. So if the person you're rolling over and looking at next, you're up in the morning, is not the person that you could be energized at being married to, that you're in the wrong relationship. So you need to make sure that you will be able to push forward with this business, even when things don't look so great.
You have to love what you're doing. It can't just be a money grab.
Listen, I'll be honest with you. I never, up until very recently, did I ever really buy into that. And number one, because I really never was in love with, it was all 6 of one or half a dozen of the other to me. I love the business of being in business. I don't necessarily, I'm not 100% behind this product. This is really the first time, I'll be honest. The first time I ever had a product in front of me that worked and showed me such comfort immediately. Okay.
Yeah. And I can tell you, staring at Wayne through Zoom, he does have the look of love in his eye right now.
Right. I'm seriously, and plus the fact that you know me outside of this, that this is the topic of my conversation all the time.
All the time.
Right? All the time. Yeah. That's the biggest hit anyone has on me. Hey, so be it. Okay.
Right.
The other thing is, look, man, you need to surround yourself, not with yes men, but with positive people. People that believe in you, that can give you, feed you, can help you replenish yourself when you may falter on your own, where maybe you've kind of been beaten down a little bit. That they're there to pick you up and say, look, you can do this. This is let's figure out a solution.
So tell me what's next for Melody Clouds.
Okay, so Melody Clouds. Within the next 72 hours, probably by the end of the next week, we will have our approval from Apple. We'll be on the iOS and the Google Play Marketplace. People will be able to download for free the app. And then it's $2.99 for the first 2 months. And then once you've made the decision that this is something that really will benefit you, we ask $5.99 a month after that. So, and there's a big, huge unsubscribe button. I think I told you that. So if you find that you didn't like it, please press that button, and you don't have to tell us anything about it. Just press the button, and no harm, no foul. All right. We have 17,000 audiobooks. We have over 300,000 files, whether it's solfeggio, binaural beats, music-wise. But coming up next, we have a machine that will actually build solfeggio and binaural beats over whatever music you want to listen to. So that's huge.
This audio is a subcarrier wave that provides the magic, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So you will be able to pair that. You'll be able to play that binaural beat that you want to listen to focus. You'll be able to listen to any music over the top of that and get the benefit of the binaural beat that you were, or solfeggio that you wanted to listen to. Okay. Because some people are fine with listening to nature sounds and a binaural beat, or I've got a lot of very ethereal music, on there. And look, to me, it's very crunchy, very woo-woo, great. But I was always looking for a way to listen to Depeche Mode, for example. I like, okay, Morrissey, something, music, right? I wanted to listen to really good music and get the benefit of this. So you can do that. Okay.
Wayne, thank you so much. I so look forward to amazing things from Melody Clouds, and thank you for being on my show too.
I really appreciate you having the chance to talk to you, and I definitely appreciate it. It means more to me than you'll possibly know. So thank you.
Thanks. Hey, one last thing. If you're feeling stuck in business life, wherever, download my book, Jumping the Gap, Kill Your Story and Take Action. In this book, you'll see how the stories that you tell yourself are stopping yourself from living your greatest life. Just text the word GAP, G-A-P, to this number, 213-409-8366. 213-409-8366, and text the word GAP. It's a short read, it's fun, it's easy, and if you hate reading like I do, you can grab the audiobook. It's at that same link. Just text the word GAP, G-A-P, to 213-409-8366. You'll love it. All right, that's it. Go out there and be badass today.